Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how you can paint for yourself this gorgeous girl dancing in light acrylic on canvas. I'm going to break this down step by step, every technique, every color mix, so it's super beginner friendly. To help me do that is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is going to make sure that the cameras are pointing at what I'm demonstrating so you guys can see and follow along at home. This is what I totally love to do, is teach you guys how to paint. I'm always amazed at what you can do, and I think you can amaze yourself today. This is actually one of those ones that's so pretty but going to be easier, I think, than you guys are expecting. Is everybody ready to get into it? I see that Lindsay Herbert is wondering if we started, and I see Darcy and C. Blanton and Jane. Jane hasn't done this before. You're going to be great, Jane. You've got this. All right. Shall we go over the materials sort of ish today?
The show has begun.
Sorry about the delay. My palette wasn't set up. You have to actually soak these little sheets. And I thought I had a whole backlog of them. And then I got spammed really bad over on Facebook. So I had to get them. I had to get my spammers. Shut them down.
I learned I can't whisper on the show anymore.
Yeah?
Because when people have this on the big screen TV, they hear me whisper, and it's like, is someone in the other room whispering at me?
Yeah, we got that comment. That was a really funny comment. Now, on today's surface, I'm doing an 8x8. The great thing about 8x8s is you can make them bigger or smaller very easily, but the placement of objects in the canvas stays essentially the same. I'm going to be starting with burnt sienna, and this isn't a step, John, because usually I put a little message out there for you guys today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something just sort of simple.
This is the pre-message message.
This is the pre-message message. I wish for you joy, and I wish for you hope.
Yay!
All right. That's not actually part of the lesson. You don't have to do that part. I like to put wishes or intentions in my surface for you guys. We're definitely going to be starting out with some burnt sienna. If you need the complete material list, it's in the description down below. I will tell you as I'm putting out paint, but the first step is going to be just painting the background brown. So, John, can you throw up a step for us? And you guys grab whatever your big brush is that you have at home. All right, we're going to get ourselves a big brush. Big brush. And I'm going to just load it up with this brown paint and paint the whole surface of burnt sienna. Now, your burnt sienna might look a different bit than mine because each company sources pigment from around the world, and everybody's burnt sienna is a little different kind of burn. But really what the color is essentially a reddish brown that's a little bit deep. Raw sienna is almost yellow when it's unburnt. You could like do a whole thing, I'm painting only raw. All right, you'll notice that this is streaky. This isn't like totally covering, but what we're wanting is a toned canvas, right? It's a canvas that has some color on it. And I'm making sure that there aren't any little air pockets or anything coming up on the canvas. I'm going to rinse this out and dry it. This is a really important step. If you haven't painted acrylic before and you've been painting but getting really frustrated, sometimes toning is that first step that makes so many big differences in the outcomes of all the other steps. I highly recommend it. Now, for going on to the next step, though, we're going to want our surface completely dry. Completely.
Just dry the surface all the way. That way. And you'll see it's really going to be kind of cool because see right now the light on, it's really kind of shiny. I think it's because one of the lights above tilted a little bit. I think it was in there and I knocked it. And now that I kind of see it, that's why I got this weird glare. But the good glare about this is you're going to see the sheen change. It goes and it goes from this shiny to this matte. And that's how you know it's drying. And it is water leaving, but also in that there's a chemical process happening where the molecular chains are bonding to each other, thus creating the acrylic curing a type of thing. And that's why when you re-wet it, it doesn't come apart, is because the little molecular chains are bonding to each other as the water is evacuating. It's a little more complicated than that, but I'm not really a chemistry dude, but that's for sure what we need to know is water is leaving, but don't use heat because this is also a poly something made of plastic, not good for heat. So
did you read Jenna's joke for us?
I did not. I was ranting about paint drying.
Oh, It's like the one thing John knows. He's like, don't eat your paint.
Oh, we were just talking about sheen change, actually.
It does actually impact all those things. And depending on the paint company that you're in, I'll tell you guys the colors that I'm putting out. I won't leave it a mystery. Right now I've got out phthalo green. And interestingly enough, I'm going to put out a little bit of dioxazine purple. This is just a place to start. We don't really need anything out yet because we're going to be deepening the canvas for that kind of interesting green rust purple that's down here. So that's going to be really fun. I'm going to show you your best friend.
Show it to me.
This is a 1-inch oval mop synthetic brush in the Princeton Select line. Very happy to say that we will get them on our new store as soon as it's open, so you'll be able to find them super easily. I'm going to go ahead and get it a little bit wet, and I'm going to come here and mix my burnt sienna and my phthalo green together. And this upper part of the canvas we're going to do in this deep foresty green. It's a very deep green. Can you guys see this?
It is very deep.
I'll read the bugs.
Oh,
joke
that's right.
while
I got distracted by your
you were
stuff.
going to read it, but I'll read it.
You read it.
As I heard that this enchanted witchy dancer was accepted into NASCAR. Does that mean her broom that she does their car go broom broom? All right, I didn't tell that joke very good at all. Go ahead and give me.
I get it.
Faces.
I get it.
Do you get it? Now I'm just kind of doing this on the outside edge. I'm going to rinse out a bit. And you can see this really darkens the canvas, doesn't it?
It does.
And I'm going to do my brown and Doc's purple down here.
It's very shiny, so it still looks like you can see a lot of the shine in the
it's going to be shiny. It's going to be a little bit shiny when it's wet. But this lower half I've got going into the burnt sienna and the Doc's purple, and I can let them blend here together. My oval mop allows wet into wet blending. It makes it a lot easier. See how we've got that going?
I do.
And now we've got a slightly like deep and
super
rich,
shiny,
super shiny background. Don't you feel like you've accomplished everything? You're like, look, it's dark. But sometimes to have a very dramatic lighting scene like we do on this witchy person, well, she's a lady dancing light, but she could be witchy. It's your painting. It's up to you. It's not up to me.
I don't think we did a step 2 after we did the brown. So this has all been a step 1.
Okay. Well, then give me the next step.
Okay. Well, you dry it, and then we'll do the next step.
Okay.
I think that was my mistake. So I will consult the Sherpa and find out whether or not we should make this step 3 or go back and have this be step 2. So, I will see what she says, and then I'll make a determination. Okay.
That's a nice deep dark background, isn't it?
So here's the question. Are we on step 3 or are we on step 2? Because we can divide it up either way.
We should have the brown was step 1.
Right.
The second coat of green and purple should be step 2. So this should be step 3.
We'll do this as step 3, and then we'll time mark where step 2 should be.
We'll time mark where step 2 will be, but it won't have the cute bumper. And the book will match it. I'd rather have we do that. So
that's what I thought.
We create written out instructions that match these videos. 7 to 14 days after a show, those get released, and you can download those for free. They can make a really big difference in every way that you can imagine. I'm just putting out all the rest of my colors now, and we'll go over the whole palette again so that if you're coming in late or you just need that extra anchor, that you get that. I'll go over all of them. You can kind of see the tubes of paint I'm using now. Sometimes it's nice to see what artists use because that's one of those hidden factors that can really impact outcomes of art is what products you use. There's not like good or bad in it. It's just can be very impactful. All right. And I think I'm going to put my white in my upper corner, maybe between my red and my pink. And then maybe some down here. That way I have access to a couple spots of white on my palette since I started out with the brown. Now let's go over all these colors again. Burnt sienna, phthalo green, dioxazine purple, titanium white, ultramarine blue. That changed the whole view. I don't know what you're looking at now, but it's not the palette anymore, so I'll have to stop. Hey, is this live? This is live.
I bumped the wrong thing.
You really did.
You went whoop. Okay.
Like not even a little bit, did you?
There, I can fix that. I was what it was. I was adjusting
the light.
The light, and it pushed the camera.
We'll just do this again. We'll go over it again. Hey, that was fun.
Little less glare.
It's like that's when you're like you don't have to ask that question. Is this live? This was live. All right. Burnt sienna, phthalo green, dioxazine purple, titanium white, ultramarine blue. It's the one lower. Phthalo blue. It's the one higher. Quinacridone magenta, titanium white. Cad red medium, cad yellow medium, okay? So you have the colors that you have. We're not doing the figure yet, so you wouldn't use the traceable yet. We're still in the open painting part of this. Let's get a clean brush and start this up. I'm going to pull my live chat back up so I can see what you guys... Hi, Irene. How are you doing today? And Himan Artists, and I see Karen is out there helping people, and Nikki Martin's in the room. All right. So we need to create this sort of glowing effect, and then keeping it dark here, but glowing out there, and we want it to be soft, right? So again, I'm going to use my oval mop back into my phthalo green. Phthalo green is a really fun color for this. And I'm going to smidge of the yellow into the phthalo green, and I'll get some titanium white over here. And you'll see it gets us into that kind of wild mint color that we have. So I'm going to begin to come here and put that wild mint.
Whoa, that's a wild mint.
That's a wild mint. Oh,
it's not a tame mint at all.
It is not a tame mint at all.
It is. It's like...
Now, as I'm coming out to the outer edge, I can get back into my green and brown.
It's a mint that steps in the door with an acapella.
With an acapella. I'm going to rinse out a little bit. Again, green and brown, still my oval mop. You can use a different brush if you have a different brush. That's okay. Bring that over back into the mint. Just making sure this is super softly blended. See, when you blend wet into wet, that's how you get those soft, impactful colors.
Those really are really cool.
Now I can go right back into my purple down here. And look, it can blend right into that mint. If I want to clean my brush, I wipe it on the paper towel between my palette and my canvas. And I'm just going softly over everything. I'm making sure that the pigment is light. As I'm coming through here, we're going to get more into the yellow, right? More into a yellow. So I'll begin to add some yellow into my mix. Transitioning through here. Blending wet into wet. And see, that creates these soft, subtle transitions, doesn't it? Get back into my mint green.
We didn't do step 3 yet.
No, you put it up.
No, step 2. Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay, yeah, stop. You have to stop. We're all going to get lost if you don't.
Okay.
For sure we covered it. I'm sure.
Yes, 3's been up.
Yes.
So we haven't done step 4 is what I meant to say.
Yeah, we're not ready for step 4 yet.
Yeah.
We're not ready. I rinsed out my brush. I am drying off my brush. And I'm going to come over here, interestingly enough, and I'm going to get into my orange. So I'm going to take my cad yellow and my cad red and begin to blend this over here. A little more red on the outer edge.
That's a brilliant orange.
Isn't that fun? Just working these colors. If you're having a terrible time with blending, let me show you a trick that will save your life. Gloss Glazing Liquid by the company Golden. You can get this at Michael's. You can get this online. What it is a slow drying agent that also is a glaze. So it extends paint and it slows down the drying time of the paint. Up to like an hour. It's like amazing. So if I were to load my brush with a little bit of this product, you can go right into the paint. It will help glaze out and blend the paint. I want a little more red in there. I can have a little more red. And I'll go right into my dioxazine purple again. Maybe a little bit of my burnt sienna. Look at that go. So we're getting some very soft effects in the center.
You really can see them better. Until it dries, you can see it from the side angle a little better.
Yeah.
Because of the
now,
glare.
If you want to even soften even further, you can take a dry blending brush, like what I have here. And in the areas that are wet, you can come through and blend over with that brush. You can even work a little glaze into it. Doing fairly well, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, notice I'll stroke down and then I'll come across and I will lighten my pressure and dust blend it in. Right? Just dust blending it in. A little more red as I go down. All right, I think this is a good basis for everything that's got to come next.
Yeah.
We're doing really well. Rinse out your brushes, dry them and put them aside. Dry your surface. When we come back, it is step 4.
Okay, I will try to remember for the break. Okay. Oh, look, I got a little specularity on that because I adjusted things. Man, sorry about that, guys. I'll fix it. But thank you for being here with us despite my many technological mishaps along the way today. It's been one of those days where I have just not been all together there. I think, the gremlins are out there somewhere looking for me. So I'll see if I can chase them down here.
All right.
Now, oh yeah, what's step 4?
4. And at coffee heat.
Oh, I'll get that.
I'll sip my tepid coffee for a second. Let's take a deep breath. You and me. Take a deep breath. Not you, John. Them. You can breathe too, though, if you want, sweetheart. If you're trying to paint along with me in real time during the live, you are making your stress go from like here to up here, which is the opposite of what you want from your painting experience, right? So I think it's very important, if it's possible, to remember that you can hit the pause button on me. It's okay to pause me. I'm not even going to be, if you want to be like, shh, I need you to stop for a second. I'm not going to be offended. And if you feel yourself feeling hurried or feeling stressed, or you think to yourself, I can't keep up, that is your internal indicator where you listen to yourself, right? Where we learn like artists, we take that leap, we listen to ourselves. I want you to listen to that and go pause on the button. Go pause. Now, if you're here for the live and you're painting, you can still watch the chat go by. You can still pause during a live event. If you're here on replay, it's much easier to pause. It's also okay to rewind and hear me say it again. And it's okay to watch it once and wait for the mini book to come out. These are just little things to keep that stress energy at a minimum, because you don't need that. That's not what you need. You don't need stress energy coming in and messing with you and making things just intrinsically harder. Okay, so again, breathe. Just appreciate everybody here today. Now, I'm going to continue on with my little mops. I love them. Again, you could use your hog brush if you don't have a mop, though. I do recommend, if you can treat yourself to these brushes, the number 12 blender and the oval mop, I recommend it because these are both really good blending brushes. I'm going to get back into my mint, my minty mint. All right. Let's get a little white on there. Oh, it's so bright. Let's see if we can get a bright enough mint going here. And I'm going to just put the brush down very lightly. If I need a little more blue into it, I can get that in there. I'm wanting to get a bright, bright mint. Yeah, you're supposed to step.
Okay, we're
at the end of the drawing.
Okay, step 5.
No, I think this is supposed to be. Is it 5 or 4, sweetheart?
We did 4.
Okay. All right.
I think.
Why don't you check with the moderators?
I will. But they'll,
Okay.
this is a place where a step belongs.
It is a step.
We'll find out which one later.
Oh my goodness. Let us know when you know. I'm going to continue to just pull that in and see how I'm creating that loose effect there. You can even add a little glazing medium to it if you want to blend it and soften it out, because the glazing medium will dry clear if you just use glaze. I get a little more yellow on here.
Okay. So, yeah.
What is it?
We're still on step 4. That was. But what I will say is that I'm going to take full responsibility for all of this. And
we usually have our kit more together today. John and I were saying we both felt just a little off.
We have been, and this is like proof, man. Like I
added a little more yellow, and I'm just kind of putting it out there. Isn't that lovely and energetic?
It really is. No, I mean genuinely. Like I designed this foolproof system, except that I found a bigger fool than I knew of.
It's okay, babe. Just adding a little more in here. Yay! I think I'll put a little bit of it over there. Just, kind of work it around a bit. Just a little bit. See, we're getting that bright color. I'm going to rinse out my brush pretty well. Oh, Deanna says, poor John.
I'm okay.
So you're getting love.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. Look, guys, I don't have it that hard. I have a console of Nintendo-like buttons that I push all day. I'm really happy with my job. I'm just a little like...
Fleshmeckle today.
I don't know what happened, man.
Is that a word? I say that word a lot. Is that a word?
I think it is because I've heard it.
I say that word a lot.
I've heard it in the wild.
So I've taken my cad yellow, my cad red, and I'm mixing a nice little orange up here. I'm going to begin to pull this out. And you can see I'm just loosely putting it out. See how this brush is, and I'm just lightly touching this brush to the surface. That's the trick.
I will stop incorrecting you, though.
Incorrecting me?
Yeah.
Oh. We all have days like that. Okay. There we go. I'm just adding a little more yellow, kind of brightening it up, blending it through. I've still got lots of room to brighten things, and I don't really need to do anything down here to darken anything, okay? And I'm going to come across, see how light that pressure is, and I'm just softly blending and feathering it in. If you only have this little brush, you could do a lot of this soft work with that little brush. So you could do it with your hog brushes. I know I've got a girl in front of here. I just want to make sure that I'm kind of bringing these things across where they feel like they might work. I think that we finished it. I think the next step is step 5, Dove. Amethyst Rock says, okay, my protein shake with Rockstar is breakfast making before I paint. Good. It's important to eat. I'm finding it's much more important for me to eat. I'm going to dry before my next step, babe.
We can try.
I'm going to sip my coffee because I want us to just bring it down.
We can do that again. We can
keep
down. Stepping the...
I mean, I battled trolls right before I went live. I love how Facebook, bans people for the most ridiculous stuff and then yet leaves trolls completely alone. It's like... I don't know. They got invisibility cloaks or something. That's systems yeah. I don't know what that is. That seems legit. That account was made 2 seconds ago by a robot. Does it seem legit to you? And it's like, well, I'm a robot, so I trust other robots. I have no feelings here.
Nah.
About it. Foot crab. Oh, Caltip hasn't been a member for 13 months.
Oh my.
John, you're the best, and we love you. Happy anniversary.
Thank
And make sure you get yourself a coffee, John. That is a good reminder to self-care. We'll kick that back to you guys at home. Are you taking care of yourself right now? Are you making sure this is okay?
There we go. So, thank you for hanging in there. We're going to get this there. It's one of those slow days of painting. And that's okay because this is a really cool kind of chill painting.
Nadine Cox says that she loves the background.
Now it's a step.
That's a step.
Look, we got this one right.
Did you though?
We'll see.
Did you check with the mods before you put it up?
No, you told me. I said this is the next one, so I trust you. I'm not gonna
check with the mods. Okay. Lynn Robertson says, Sherpa the Troll Slayer. I am a kind of smasher of trolls. It's hard for me not to do it on Twitter, but then when I do it on Twitter, then I have to talk to people on Twitter, which I don't actually like to do. Except you guys on my own little page where we just talk art. But like the general Twitterverse, I don't actually like to troll hunt over there.
This is
a time for you guys at home. This is a time for you guys at home to put up your traceable if you're going to use that. I am going to freehand our figure in a little bit. But if you're doing the traceable, this is when you do it. Make sure your surface is completely dry. All right, now we're going to have to put her in, and I'm going to use a round brush to do that. Let me find one of my good rounds. This is a number 4 round. So this is a number 4 round by Simply Simmons. If you had the Art Sherpa number 4 round. Oh, by the way, King's Framing and Art, I hear, still has Art Sherpa brushes in stock, and they ship globally. And I think there's a discount somewhere. I don't remember where it is, though. So if you're looking for those, but if you got, or if you can't get that, you got the number 4 Simply Simmons. Now I'm going to begin. I think I'm going to put her in. Up here I can be kind of dark, and even down here I can be kind of dark. So let's start with a little bit of purple. I can always come back with black, and I'm going to come to right about here. This is the center of the canvas, right? I'm going to make a little mark. Oh, that's a good size. And to talk about the head, I want a little circle. Little thumbprint of a circle. It's easy to add paint. It's difficult to remove it, right? Make sure that that's a good placement there. Then I'm going to bring a little line down for the neck. Now remember, on a neck, you should still have a little bit of the head coming out. So you're going to want to have a little bit of lip here and lip here. The shoulders are a little bit of a bend down. And again, I can always add paint. It's hard to take away, right? So I'm going to add that there. And then bring a little brush down. I've got so many little bits of skirt and everything to do. So my initial rundown is just to build that. You can see even as I come out, I can be like a little transparent. I want to leave that distinctive shoulder even before I add the sleeve though, because as I add the sleeve, that shoulder needs to be there. Now this one is going to come out, so I need to do a waistline here. So here's the height of the shoulder. I'm going to bring a little waistline in. Bring a little waistline in. And then bring a little one out. One way to sight your waistlines, so they're placed fairly well, is the upper body is about a head, like above the, so if you were like, you've got your neck, if you were to start your head, your belly button is about where your chin would be. So it's just a little way of sighting it. Human bodies are 6 to 8 heads high. 8 is models, 6 is regular humans. I'm going to go ahead and kind of rock out a little bit of a hip line. So see, we've got a nice little indent and outgo on our nice little waist. Now, I'm going to kind of bring this down and feather it. Lots of painting to go around there, but I just want to do that. And when I come here, I can maybe kind of imply a little bit of her updo that we see a small amount of. See, I'm not really going out and doing little hairs, but I am implying little curls and things coming around. That's all it really takes to get her in. That part of this is just chill. Again, if this is hard for you to sight or you're not familiar with those figure dimensions yet, man, chill about it. You've got a traceable, you're okay. And tracing is not cheating. Not in, well, in some people's book, but they're just wrong because they teach it in art school for a reason. They also teach projection and gridding and several other placement processes so that you as an artist can choose what's best for you in any given project.
Totally a skill you're going to need.
Yeah, it's a good skill. Drawing's a great skill, but these other skills are good skills too. Let's dry this, and then we'll get on to some of our fancy colors.
Fancy colors. I thought these were fancy colors as there are. The mintiness of this and that orangey is really cool. You know, it's over here you can see it a little better because the contrast shows up a little better because that shine just muffles it down with the camera. See, as it gets there, it's a little easier, and I can probably even do a little bit of like, grab that thing and go boop boop. It is.
It is fun. I'm going to get a round hog brush now.
It needs some more.
If you don't have a hog brush, you could, for some of it, you can use one of these rounds. You can use your other round. You could use a fan. But I really like a little hog because it gives me some control here. And I'm going to start to do the upper part of her with a smaller brush, and then I'll get a bigger brush for the skirt part. Now, first, I want to come up into her hair, and I'm going to take this particular brush, by the way, so you know, is a number 4 Raphael Artini brush, or Artigiani. Did I say it right this time? It's so hard to say. I'm going to grab a little of my cad red and my cad yellow, and I'm going to come here and just start to highlight this little side of the hair. Little kind of swirling curl strokes. Not too bad, right? I can even get into a little bit of my Quin Magenta and a smidge of white. Come down into my Dot Ox Purple again for my dark color. It's so completely fun. And then I can go into my white. And very lightly brush down a little highlight. Down into a triangle. So I've taken that down into a triangle. I'm going to rinse out, wipe my brush off on a towel, and I'm going to come back to my yellow. Got a lot more yellow on here. Kind of tip that outer part of her little head with a yellow orange, right? Because we've got a little orange in it. Come back with another little touch of the magenta. It's just fun to blend that out here. So see, that kind of creates that light on that left side of her head. I can rinse out. Now, I'm going to take my phthalo blue and my phthalo green. From the shoulder down, I'm going to mark down a little bit of this dark color, and then we're going to come back with just a smidge of white, which will highlight it. And we will be so glad it did. I can even bring this down some. See what I'm doing? With like nice long strokes, a little phthalo blue and a little phthalo green. It almost reads like a black here, but when we get a little white into it, it's going to be wowza. Okay, let's grab some of that bright green we made from earlier. Gonna come here and highlight into the blue. See how we're doing? And it just picks up the back of her cocktail dress. And a little bit coming back here. Just as a place to start. Can always come over to my white a little more. A little bit of a highlight on that part of the dress. Get back into my green. Come over into my yellow. I love that. So this part of it isn't really that different than when you're working digitally. It really isn't, interestingly enough. I don't want to bring a highlight too much past that hip. I'm going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my Quin Magenta and my Dot Ox Purple. And I can even use my glazing medium if I really want to kind of transparent it down. But we're going to have a lot of dress come up over it, so we're not under a huge amount of pressure here. Get a little bit of my white into this. And I'll come back with some turquoise in a little bit. I just want to work this out here. Back over here with my purple. And I'll start to blow that this way. So see how that sleeve is a little purple and the other sleeve is a little bit purple? Can always come back into my green. Make sure my shoulder holds well. Rinse out. How are we doing? Isn't this a trip?
I think this is pretty amazing.
C. Blanton says, oh, you got some good paints. I love my golden. I haven't gotten Sennelier yet. So in professional brands of paint, one, they're not just for professionals. They're just the higher quality. It's where they use real pigments and they have real specific formulations. Some of these companies are really old, and Sennelier is like 250 years old. We've got a paper company we work with that's like 8 centuries. It's crazy old.
Yeah.
Fabriano. There's some really good stuff out there. And golden, you know, golden is always amazing to work with because they're kind of like the origin of acrylics.
Yeah.
So it's fun stuff. Let's put up a step, John.
Okay. Boop. Step.
All right. I'm going to get a slightly bigger brush for the skirt. And I'm going to blow some here and some this way. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone. This is a number 6 Simply Simmons Bright Hog Bristle brush. And I'm going to come off here. Oh, I think I over tipped in. Now here's a little trick.
That?
I put too much paint there on the hip. I don't want that much paint on the hip, but what I can do is I can rinse my brush out. Kind of bring that in. I've got to put a little turquoise out there anyways. So I've got this right here. And then coming over here, I'm back into the sort of quinacridone. Coming off the hip. So if this is right here in the hip, let's blow this off that way. Little Quin, a little Doc's purple. Pretty dark stuff. It's pretty dark. I can always come in and get a little of my cad red and my cad yellow and start to glow up the fabric down here. See how we're doing? Just the beginning. It's her beautiful dress flowing out. Good times, good times. I'm going to take a little bit of my Doc's purple and my ultramarine blue together. They do an interesting, cool kind of mix. And come here at the hip. out a bit. So this is almost blue. Flow that little bit of taffeta. That's what I imagine it to be, is taffeta. I'll get a little white in there so you can really see the blue. All right, come here and get back into our little purple bit. On the edge of my brush, you can see I'm being very light with it, right? And then wandering off this way. Very light. That's going to give us that light effect that we're looking for. I'm going to rinse out. I get a little bit of my white and magenta together. Come over on this side, kind of blending it up. You can get back into the docks to knock it back if you need be. And come right there with a little bit of that magenta pink. It's a very strong color. A little white into it. Add some right there. Put a little highlight on the sleeve. Just the beginning of it. I would say this is a good spot. We're going to rinse this out and go back to our round brush for some details. But let's try this real quick before we go further.
Okay.
And we'll call the next one another step. We're actually nearly done, guys.
It looks great. It looks super amazing. I love the colors on this. I mean, it really is just super cool how vivid some of these colors are. I just wanted to kind of go over here and take a look at them because you can really see in the high contrast angle there just how poppy those are. So I'm gonna do my best to adjust those lights a little later. Okay, we're ready for...
Adjust those lights a little bit. You ready?
Boom!
Boom! Okay, so we're still making some different little highlights and some still different little effects on here. One of the things I can do is I can come back with my small round brush and I can take a little of my ultramarine blue and my phthalo green together. Kind of get another sort of teal turquoise and come inside here. And work around the dress a bit. I can come back up into the green and maybe the yellow with a little bit of white. Very carefully paint the negative space in the opening of the arm. See how we're being very careful with the negative space? Yeah. And go way more into the yellow, still into the white, but with yellow. Look at that. Very bright. Little touches sometimes are a big deal. On the outside there, just a little bit, kind of highlighting that outside line. Let's come on the inside of that dress just some. Right there. See, catching that light right there. A little more yellow. A little bit there. Maybe a bit there. It's going quite well. Come here. Add some highlight in this spot right here. So that's really, we've gone into the yellow from our green mix. And we're going to make some little hot spots. A little white, a little bit more yellow into it. dry brush this up here. So we're just making little kind of like distant flashing lights are catching our attention. I get my brush rinsed out a bit. Definitely rinsed out a bit. And I'm going to get some very bright cad red and cad yellow together. And come down with like a bit of this chiffon up onto this like little scarf here. Let's highlight the top of that. See how we're doing? Capturing the top of that. We can even highlight some of the top of this little bit of chiffon that's coming out. Can go a little more into the cad red if I need to. Now, if you take cad red and quin magenta together, you get one of my very favorite colors. It is so bright in your eye. You just cannot imagine, and it'll take everything else like to that next level. Cad red and quin magenta. If you take nothing else from this lesson, take that color mix, because you can't get that in a tube.
That color mix.
Yeah. I mean, I might someday like have it tubed. But it's pretty hard to come across. I come and get a little more yellow on here. And let's brush a little of this chiffon into that brighter color. Get into the cad red a little bit here. Top of that is maybe highlighted. Just some cad red there. Got a lot more yellow. Still with this number 4 Artini brush round. You could use just any brush that you have control over. Like that. We're just adding a little bit of a highlight to the top of that there.
Looks super good.
Doesn't it look really nice? A little orange in there. Rinse. I get a little of my quin and ox purple together and some white.
Tammy's loving this painting.
Is Tammy loving this painting? I'm loving doing this painting, Tammy.
Yeah.
It's a fun painting to do. I'm going to add a little pink highlight there into the chiffon. As you do, right? A little bit of pink on that outer sleeve, because that's what we need. I'm going to get a little bit of my ultramarine blue and some white, just a little bit. Maybe a little darker into the ultramarine. Kind of have that sleeve blow down there, you know? Let's put a little of our turquoise on there. Just lightly brush that back in, just really lightening up that wonderful glow. Okay, we'll call this a step. We don't really need to dry it. We come back, we're going to add some little spots of brightness and glow that we really like. All right, step 9, we're doing fine. Oh, thank you, LH. So Lynn Robertson LH is talking to Lynn Robinson saying that they like to watch and then paint, and then saying that painting gives them like hope and joy, which is what we like to do it. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and some of my titanium white, and I'm on my oval mop now. You could use a bright if you don't have an oval mop. You don't have to have an oval mop. That is not required. I'm going to use it because I did in the background, and it'll make a nice continuity. Get a little more white into there because some of this is a little more ducky. Maybe a little more yellow because, you know, we're over on this far side. I think a little more yellow. I think I want to switch down to a smaller brush to get some control. It's just too big.
Yeah.
It's too big. I'm going to actually just work this little brush because I think I just need a little more control around what I'm doing. Just on the palette and around her as well. Come around here. Get a little bit of that white yellow over here. Up above the shoulder. Coming down. And I'm real soft, so I'm just dry brushing over what I already have, letting a lot of that show through. I just didn't like how if I had the ½ inch of this or the smaller mop, I might have kept in it, but just right now I'm feeling like I wanted something smaller. Just coming along here. Get a little bit of yellow. A yellow white. Adding little marks that I'm going to put highlights in the center, and it's going to make them feel like spotlights and things. You know, I can always blend in, right, with a little bit of my background color, can't I? A little bit of the turquoise, so if any of it gets away from me, I can work it. See how I worked it? I worked it.
I see.
I see. Come over here. I think add a little of that down on that side because that'll look nice. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to grab some of my yellow and red. All right, it's kind of just a little more orange. And dry brush out a little of this glow. This is just the number 4 round. I'm just liking it. Kind of define it here. Maybe get a little more red onto it. I'm going to add some purple down here and kind of brush it up into the dress a little more. You know, just raise that side of it some. Get a little of the yellow orange.
It's looking so good.
It's fun, isn't it? A little orange right here. And then I can come into my yellows. And my oranges up in here. A little wiggly there. Let's give some little wiggly embers here. Wiggly embers everywhere. Just a little bit of yellow, red, orange. Bright, bright, bright coming down. We're just talking about those lights. The lights around our dancer.
Yeah.
Because she's got some and we want to paint them. We're making very irregular shapes. This is fun to do. It can be hard to let go. It can be hard to let go. And, you know, that's one of the first things that you'll need to do as a painter is to give yourself permission to accept your brushstroke. And not, I mean, it's always good to use me as a reference to get a sense of where we're going. But at the end of the day, what I want you to do is look at your brushstroke, have it be slightly different than mine, but recognize that it's still good and it's still valid and it's still okay. So important.
Yeah.
I'm going to come here and add a little bit of the highlight that I have here. Maybe even more white in it. Kind of coming up on that little scarf, right? A little bit of that coming off, and definitely a little spot of yellow warmth right here. Isn't that lovely? Just a little bit on her.
It really is.
On her little skirt. A little bit of bright red there. Don't be afraid to, you know, put sparkles. Sparkle anywhere you want to sparkle. Little yellow and white. Just a little bit around her head.
Jessica says these colors make her heart smile.
They are just happy. It's just happy colors. A lot because it's got strong contrasts, right? The orange and the green contrast and the yellow and the purple contrast. And they sort of play against each other. And it's just a really fun space. I really, really love it. I really, really love it, the way they pop against each other. I'm going to come in and get a little more yellow and almost all white, but just lightened up a bunch, right? And we're going to add maybe a little bright light right there. That's just a bit of like a Super Trooper lights. Super Trooper lights are gonna find me. Right? So just adding that. Those are her Super Trooper lights. You guys are doing great.
Yeah.
Just touch little highlights inside these glows and it will help them feel like light. A little bit right there, helping it feel like light. Where it's orange, you know, maybe you're just coming back with yellow. See how we just came back with yellow over the orange?
Yeah.
So if it's yellow, you kind of want to pop it with some white. If it's orange, you may want to take it into the yellow. You can always go up one more from that into the white. But that's just how our eyes kind of process this stuff. So that's how we're going to kind of get there ourselves. Just keep it a little more yellow, kind of coming here and touch it. A little yellow. Oh, I just love that. You can always come back into the yellow white. Couple spots, brightening it up. It's crazy how we get there.
It's really cool.
Gonna hit a little extra yellow on that scarf there. Maybe a little brighter orange along here. I think, guys, we're doing really well. Anywhere you want to touch up, right? This is that moment. Anywhere you want to be like, I think I need a little highlight on the boom boom there. Look at that, just touching that there so that skirt is moving. Make your skirt move. Skirt needs to move.
It does.
Right, I'm back into my yellow and green, and I'll just make sure that right here is bright. It needs to be bright. I think we got it. Guys, I think we got it.
I think you did.
I think we did. So much to do. I am getting questions about, are we going to be doing landscapes and such? Let me give this a sign, and I will talk to you about what we've got coming up that you can be excited about. Now, fall, y'all, is going for a second. If you got the newsletter, you saw all the upcoming paintings that we're doing for fall. And then we're going to actually, for us, start the winter a little. I didn't want to start when everybody else started. Have you noticed that everyone is like just right in the middle of winter, and it's just Christmas decor and everything already?
Yeah.
And I do want to give you plenty of time to do your holiday projects, but the Winter Wonder event is probably going to start just a little later. You can see the first winter painting mid-November. You know. So we have just a little more fall left in this world, and I think we just needed a little bit more.
Just a touch more.
We just need a little bit more fall. I hope you loved her. She was a lot of fun to paint. I really, really enjoyed doing her. I hope you enjoyed doing her. Guys, be good to yourselves. Take that time to be kind and good to yourselves, and be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.